The easiest way to make a ridiculous amount of money, I mean a ridiculous amount of money, not regular money. I'm talking about the kind of money that people write books about, billions, is to short a market that is obviously going to tank, and to time it right. That's not easy. That's not easy. And if you look at some of the world's most successful investors, that's how they made their money. A lot of them. Because you could do that now. You can short markets, but your timing's got to be perfect. The Big Short was about the mortgage market, but we've had other ones. We've had other ones. Michael Lewis's book and the movie they made about it was about noticing the bubble that was obvious. It was obvious. Steve Carell's character, if you've seen the movie, went down to Florida, and there were people who had absolutely no skills in money, mortgages, real estate, or anything in that industry, cleaning up in a bubble. And he knew immediately. He suspected, and then he had his evidence. And they said, let's do it. And they shorted the market. And that is walking away money of the biggest sort. We're there right now, as far as I'm concerned. I can't short it, though, because I don't know how. And I don't think you could. But there is a way to use the truth to set yourself free. How do you know what's true in a world where everyone has an opinion? The most powerful vehicle in human history is truth. It's to see what's real when other people can't, to see what's obvious now, before everyone else notices. That's the most powerful vehicle in human history. To recognize during the Dutch tulip craze that tulips were not worth $1,000 a bulb or whatever they were charging. To say, that's not really worth it. It's not real. What's the big bubble today? Think about that. What do you think it is? What would you short? I'm going to tell you what I'd short if I could. And I know I can't time it. And I know that I can't short it, but I've been preparing for it for years. So I succeed when it happens. I've been preparing for this for years now because it's going to happen. I just don't know when. I really don't. I don't know when, but I can see the truth. I can see it. I know this is going to happen. I didn't see the mortgage market back in 2008. I bought a house. I had no business buying. I lived on the north side of Chicago. And I thought, oh my God, the lot next to me was a lot 2 doors down, was listed for more money than a house. And I'm like, if I don't get in, I'm never going to get in. Never. I got to do it. And I did. And I made money, but I got lucky because I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. None. I got lucky. And then I rolled that equity up into another place. Thank God. I could have lost everything. A lot of people did. People who had no business being in those businesses were in those businesses. That's when you have a problem. Now, I'm not doing it again. I'm on the other side of this short. What's the short? 75%. I don't know if this is the number, but this is what I read. Is it true or not? I don't know. I think this was New York Times, so maybe at least they checked the facts. 75% of middle school kids think influencer is a career. It's a career. They think it's a career. Middle school kids think becoming popular is a career. They don't even know who Paris Hilton is. They don't really understand it because they didn't see it happen. They don't even know who Michael Jordan is really. They didn't see it happen. They don't know where Donald Trump came from. They didn't see it happen. It's just the world they live in. I remember when I was at the Gatorade National Sales Convention, the marketing agency I was working for put this together with Michael Jordan. He had an accomplishment. a big one. What he did was hard. To become the best basketball player in the world is hard. And then to win back-to-back championships in a cutthroat, incredibly competitive sport is hard. Hard, really hard. Doesn't matter how good you are and how much talent you have. What Michael Jordan did was extraordinary. He played with the flu and he pulled the team onto his back. They created a new system, the triangle offense, that with Phil Jackson, that worked. Michael Jordan subordinated his own personal ambition to the team to win in Phil Jackson's system. That's hard. They had an accomplishment. And then he became an influencer, meaning he sold brands, Nike, Gatorade. So I saw Gatorade up close and I saw Nike up close too, because I was doing stuff for Reebok. I had a distribution company. We were repping Reebok products. So I saw this from the inside. And then Paris Hilton shows up. You're popular. That's it. Famous for being famous. We think this is normal. Well, what else? Where does that end up? Kim Kardashian and Donald Trump. Now, some people, don't forget the politics. Just look at this from a pure truth standpoint of what is true and what would you short. I would short the social media economy right now, big time. I don't know when it's going to collapse. I don't even know if it will collapse or just crumble and disintegrate over time like Sears. I don't know if it's going to be like Sears and just sort of disintegrate over time where it won't work anymore, or like California Gold Rush, where it just kept going and going and going. And they kept selling gold mining pants, Levi's. They kept selling pickaxes. They kept selling train tickets out to California when there was no gold left. And the people who were selling the tickets, they knew there's no gold out here anymore. None of these miners are going to get rich. But they just kept running their plays. This is what's going on right now on social media. How to become a social media influencer. You can't. It's not going to happen. Even the ones who did it couldn't do it today unless they were known. The people who are doing it today already have a big accomplishment. That's why they can do it. Because people look at them and they say, wow, that's real. You actually did something, as opposed to just got good at marketing, famous for being famous. I saw it on LinkedIn yesterday. Nice woman, early 20s, made a ton of money. Now she's queen of LinkedIn. For what? For becoming queen of LinkedIn. That's it. That's not a real accomplishment because it doesn't take a lifetime of pain. Now, I'm getting judgmental. So I don't want to be judgmental. I really don't. That's judgmental because I don't know her. And she's got a real story. That's the thing. This is the problem for me, is I see it and I'm like, wow, you have a real story. You could do so much more than this. Like, change your product. Your product doesn't just have to be about how to get popular on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. You have so much more to you than this. You accomplished something. You overcame something. Why are you here? Start with product, like Michael Jordan, not with popularity, like Kim Kardashian. That's the difference. It's not the vehicle that's the problem. Although an ad network and social media is kind of a problem, but that's not the point. It's not that the ad network or the social media itself, it's the product. Is there a real product or just the art of being famous and being known? Is that the product? That's not real because they did it, not you as the buyer of that system. If somebody figures out how to get you to buy mortgages or invest in properties or flip a house back in the mortgage era when anybody could do that, they're good at marketing because there's nothing real underneath that. Now, this happened in Silicon Valley, same thing. Mark Andreessen talked about this. It's great. Mark Andreessen's great. So it was back in, I don't remember the dates, but it was 2000 or something. And he called it B2B and B2C, B2B, back to banking, B2C, back to consulting. Those were a bunch of people who did really well in school, got into top schools so they could do whatever they wanted. or their parents had money, and they could go out to Silicon Valley and ride the rails to the gold mining rush and make a mint off tech. But they weren't technology people. They had no accomplishment in relation to it. And when it got hard, as Mark said, they went back to banking and back to consulting, business to business, business to consumer. So it's hilarious the way he said it. And he says, and now we're left, meaning me and the other technologists. In other words, the people who care and have skills and an accomplishment. That's deflating. It's hard. And then you got to really roll up your sleeves and say, okay, the economy's not lifting me through this fake bubble. Now I got to do the real work. This is how life really works. The truth will set you free. The truth will set you free because those are the principles of life. There's no easy accomplishment. It's not, use common sense right now. You want to know when to short the market, the influencer economy? I don't know how to buy the put. I don't even know how to buy a put. I don't even completely understand what a put is, but I'm from Chicago. So we have commodity markets and derivatives markets and options markets. So for those of you who aren't familiar with these terms, this is basically a betting system to hedge a bet against a business risk. That's what those systems were for. So you're trying to stabilize your business. So you don't want to be the victim of wildly swinging currencies or grain prices or inputs to your manufacturing process. If the prices of tomatoes go way up, that's a problem if you're, a ketchup company. So you use these financial instruments as an insurance policy wisely. That's what it's for. It's not a casino, but it's used like a casino now. But that wasn't the point. So I don't know how to buy a contract on the social media economy collapsing over the next 12 months. So instead, I'm going to build something, well, I've built it, that will be the catcher in the rye for those of you who see what I see, which is this is over. It's over. And when you're into what's next, before what's over collapses, because no one else can see it, because they're enamored with the possibilities for them, or they've succeeded in it, sort of. And they're trying to figure out how to adjust that to become like Russell Brunson or Tony Robbins, or to become like Alex Hormozi. Those people are going to cut and run when it collapses because they already made their money. It's the people who are following them up that are going to get crushed. You're going to lose everything. You put 3-4 years into becoming popular on Instagram, social media, YouTube, whatever it is. When this thing collapses, you're going to lose everything. They won't, because they already made their money because they got in early. So if you want to hire a brand builders, you're going to hire an Evan Carmichael. You're going to work with an Alex Hormozi. If you have an accomplishment already where you're really good at the thing you do, it's going to work if you don't follow their entire playbook, because you're going to push a lot of people away because they're going to feel like, is this real? It is real. But when you do that marketing stuff, it starts to feel less real. That's why this is a problem, because people today, they can't tell the difference. That's the problem. So my action adventure ride through I'm going to read my thing here. The truth will set you free. I'll share my action adventure ride through the speeding friction of change as we entered the world of globalization and the takeover of the economy by the technology and financial bots. That's a long story. I'm trying to figure out how do I tell this story. I've been doing business development in the market forever, since I was 21 years old and 17, really trying to figure out how to find a tube in the matrix. In other words, a career to get out of having to do business development in the market. And that didn't work. So I ended up making my own living, finding my own way through in business development or starting my own companies or whatever. Not because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I did, though. I didn't realize this, but because I wanted to be on that action adventure ride, really. But I also wanted security. So that was my inner conflict that never ended. It was like, I want security and stability So it's like Seinfeld. Seinfeld's mom is like, why don't you just go in the Bloomingdale's executive training program? And he's like, Mom, well, for me, there was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea every once in a while. But every time I did it, I'm like, this isn't going to work. There's no way. I either get fired or there's just no way it's going to work. It's not who I am. Um, but the business development skills led to being able to make real money and start companies and do things on my own terms. But the action adventure ride through the speeding friction of change in globalization, the takeover of the economy by the technology and financial bots led in 2020 to getting sucked into this giant sucking sound of what's about to collapse at some point, which is this idea of if I can become popular enough, if I have a big enough audience, there's income in that audience. Is that true? It was. Is it true now? It depends. Who's it true for? That's what you got to ask yourself. Is it true for you? You will not be able to be a Justin Welsh or a Dan Coe, or who else is pretty solid right now? Some of the LinkedIn people like a Luke Matthews or somebody like that, unless you're like that. If you have a unique, quirky, weird personality thing, or a good copywriter or genius at marketing, analytical systems and infrastructure, and a personality, if you have a real personality that's unique and popular type personality today, you can do it still, I think. Maybe not. Maybe it's getting to the point where that's not even going to work. I don't know. But if you could cut through, there's people selling playbooks to do that too. And there's one guy now who's coaching a lot of these people and they're buying his system. And I'm looking at the system, I'm like, it's an organizational system because they're good on the front end at the popularity game. And they know how to get popular. They don't know how to make money, or they know how to make money, but they don't know how to keep the money, or they know how to make money and keep it, but they don't know how to have a life because they have no business skills. So he's very practical and knows how to create business infrastructure and business systems to free their time up. So they only have to work. Here's the promise, 4 hours a week and stuff. So that doesn't work when there's nothing real in the product. So if somebody has something real, I was talking to a guy yesterday who was pretty serious coach, like International Coaching Federation type coach, and worked for a big Silicon Valley tech giant for years. And he knows his stuff, and he's 70 years old, and he really knows what he's doing, and he understands how to help people transform within a corporate structure so they're more happier there, they perform better, all this stuff. So I want to do something with him for entrepreneurs, bringing that skill into the entrepreneur world as a partnership. So I'm scoping out a partnership with him on my platform, mostly for people who run like consulting businesses that are kind of exhausted by the business. I was in a Vistage group for a while, and a lot of these people, their businesses get to 5, 10, 20, 30 million, and they're exhausted by them. And he totally gets the why. I do too, but I don't know how to teach it. He does, but I know how to teach my part. So we collaborate. That's real. That's real. You're not marketing something. You're showing people what you got that's real. They're going to buy that. It's not easy, but at least it's real because you spent a long time, me and him, figuring out how to do it. So, and you know who it's for. And then those people need help with fear, with change, with uncertainty. So on my campus, I'm looking at all of these components. So we're filling in all the holes and all the plugs, so coaches are complaining, oh, they can't do my program, they're too lazy. I'm like, no, they're afraid. They're afraid. So we have Invincibility Dojo daily meeting with Brian Muka to overcome fear. He's a special operations naval bomb technician. He knows a lot about how to overcome fear. So we're pulling the plugs, we're filling the holes with this stuff because these things have to come together because people have to get a real result. The result is not how many units I sold. That's part of the action adventure ride. I learned that years ago. I got a big order from when Carson's, a big department store chain in Chicago, I got a $250,000 order from Carson's. And my dad, when I was working for him, he said, He said, no, our stuff's too expensive. They'll never buy it. And I was like, when was the last time you called them? He says, well, I don't know, about 15 years ago. They never called anybody. So I was like, well, can I call him? And he's like, I don't care. So I called the woman 500 times. He's like, how many times did you call her? I said, I don't know. I didn't really count. And I kept the log, and he's like, wow. I said, well, why would I call her only once? It never occurred to me not to keep calling her. I got a meeting. So now I have a meeting. I don't know what to do. And he's like, well, he says, why don't you go run over and take a look at their floor and see what's out? And I took a pictures, and I went back and I show him. And he says, hey, you know what? This might work. Well, it did. And she bought it, $250,000 worth. And the company screwed up the order because the order was too big. She bought it, what's called doors. She bought all doors because she was greedy, because she knew it was a good deal, and it was hard to get that product, which is why they screwed up the order, because there was a shortage of capabilities to sew this stuff. Like, this is a longer story, but I didn't understand how any of this stuff worked. But the whole idea of getting that big sale was not to get one sale, which is what happened. I got the biggest order in my dad's company's history, and I'd only been working there like 6 weeks. It wasn't the point. The relationship never went anywhere because we didn't tell this buyer how to make money. We let her drive the relationship. And she was just looking for a quick buck. So it went away. So I didn't really help anybody. This is what's going on today. So people are measuring, like in school, Alex Hormozi and Sam Evans, I look at their ads, they're measuring how much revenue. Oh, you did 40 grand. Yay. 14 grand. Yay. Success, success, success. That's not success. That's 3 months of revenue. How about in 2 years? How about in a year? How about when this thing collapses? Where's that person going to be who bought that funnel in school? Where are they going to be? Is there a product in there beyond making money for that person? As a marketer who figured out how to get people in the funnel to buy, is there anything else? That's not real. That's the whole point. Beliefs, opinions, and convictions presented as truth by marketers, influence, and experts take us away from truth, which must be experienced directly. That's really simple. All that means is, who am I? What do I know? Who's it for? And why does it matter? Not because I can market it successfully. Of course I'm going to make money. What's my product? I always started with product. What do I have that's valuable? It's almost hard to say because I hear all the objections right now because people are in this mindset of, well, what's your elevator message? What's your pitch? Well, what's your ideal client market? What's your avatar? I'm like, that's marketing. Marketing departments do that. It's really complicated. That's really complicated. That's genius level stuff. A whole team comes together to figure that stuff out. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I used to sell that stuff, those kind of teams to people, or software or whatever services. I'm like, I am not going to become a marketer. I'm not a marketer. I'm a business developer, an entrepreneur, and I know how to do inner development and build these infrastructures. And I understand groups and how things work. And I can see markets and shifts in markets. That's my expertise. I try to turn myself into a marketer, I'm going to fail. It's not going to work. I tried for 3 years. Didn't work. Find your common sense approaches. Know what's true and escape from the echo chambers. This is the key to it. Created by influencer leaders. What is an echo chamber? There's an echo chamber is where everyone is agreeing with a philosophy that is developed by the leader of the echo chamber. ClickFunnels is an echo chamber for Russell Brunson's philosophy of marketing. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying it's an echo chamber. Alex Hormozi, Hormozi Nation, it's an echo chamber for Alex Hormozi's philosophy of life. That's what it is. Not good or bad. I'm just saying this is just what it is. It's an echo chamber. They're speaking to each other based on a philosophy one individual or a group brought into the room and said, this is the truth. Believe this. This is what works. Tony Robbins, that 4-day thing he's doing in New York, it's an echo chamber. You stand in that room and say, Tony, I don't think this works. they're going to throw stones at you. There was a man named Jesus Christ. He did that. They put him up on a cross. There was a man named Galileo. He did that. And they put him under the Inquisition hearing for like 20 years. You're going to tell the truth in an echo chamber, they're going to turn on you. That's how you know it's an echo chamber. It's an echo chamber if you can't say anything, because you're triggering their belief system. It's a group belief, group dynamic belief. That's how you know. Common sense approach. Escape from the echo chambers created by influencer leaders. What's the other type of echo chamber? The war, the fight. It's not an echo chamber. It's the opposite. It's a divisive battle between factions. That's our political environment. It's not an echo chamber. It's the opposite. So we got both of these going on right now. We got the echo chamber, believe the leader. We've got the divisive debate, fighting opinions, conflicting opinions. They're both nuts. Avoid divisive debates that don't matter, held between marketers in your market who attempt to persuade beginners. Now, this is the key to it, that their approach is the right answer. Why does that debate exist? Why does the divisive debate exist in politics? It's persuasion. It's persuasion. So you vote for my candidate. It's orchestrated by a team of consultants, working marketers, political consultants or marketers, working for the candidates, trying to figure out how do we navigate this debate. That's what's going on. Opinion clashing. There's a great book called Orbiting the Giant Hairball about corporate. Orbiting the giant hairball means this guy worked at Hallmark in Kansas City, conservative corporation, but it's creative. And he found a tiny little niche in it to survive it. And he built a career and he became celebrated inside Hallmark. It's amazing. He did this as a creative artist type person who wouldn't believe in the beliefs of Hallmark. You know, the echo chamber. It's an echo chamber. Corporate echo chamber is the same thing as the Alex Hormozy Nation echo chamber. It's just don't say anything against the Alex Hormozy belief, you know, or they're going to throw stones at you. Same thing with this. So what he's saying with the giant hairball is the corporate belief systems that don't mean anything anymore. It's the way we've always done it. Well, we do it like this. Why? Well, I don't know. Well, but I don't want to do it like that. Well, you have to, or they'll get mad. I was like, okay, and now I'm stuck in this corporation. What am I going to do? He said, orbit the giant hairball. Don't get sucked into it. I got 3 minutes. And I'm going to stay on for a couple of minutes. Oh, no, I'm not actually. I got something I got to do in 2 minutes. 2 more minutes. So he's got this great story about chickens. So, the chickens, if you put I don't know if this is true, but he put it in his book. If you draw a line, like a white line, and you line up a chicken and you put its beak right on the line, it won't move. And you can line them all up and they'll just sit there like this. And he said, that's corporate. And I'm like, that's Hormozy Nation too. And the ClickFunnels crowd. It's the same thing. So they're on the line, looking at the line. So he's like, orbit the line, go up. And I'm like, now you can learn from Russell Brunson. You can learn from, these are amazing people. See, that's what you understand. I'm not attacking these people. I'm not attacking anything. I'm explaining something. The dynamic of that echo chamber, to escape it, don't look at the line. That's the whole point. Orbit the line. In other words, don't believe the beliefs, but learn from the people. So I learned so much from, I've studied Alex Hormozy, Russell Brunson. I've studied all these people extensively and tried their stuff, try to figure out my own way through it because they're brilliant. They're geniuses. Donald Miller, StoryBrand, all those technologies they don't work for me, but they worked for them and they worked for a lot of people when they were working really well. And I learned so much from these people. But I'm not staring at the line like a chicken, you know, as a follower. And that's the way out. Orbit the giant hairball. It's very simple. How do you do it? Notice yourself. Notice the world. That's it. You don't have to take ayahuasca. You don't have to do Sadhguru's cryo yoga, inner engineering stuff. You don't have to do plant medicine. those are very specific, very deep inner development technologies. You want to just get a better life, just start to notice what's going on around you with yourself and other people. You don't have to change your whole being. And then adjust based on that. And then as you create your product, calibrate it with the market so people start to understand what the hell you're talking about. It's really that simple, actually.